Ready.
So, this is episode 3 of Bold Woman of the Week for our Bolder Truth community. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Karen Journell-Dotson. Karen, would you like to take the stage and tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Sure. Last June 22nd of 2025, so we're getting ready to come up on the 1 year anniversary. Um, our son, Benjamin Allen, who we call Jamin for short, was found dead in his bedroom at his dad's house. He was visiting for the weekend, and he normally leaves his dad's early on Sunday morning to be at work by 6:30 a.m. So he has to get up around 3 or so. And his dad woke up because he had to work that day as well and looked out the window, and Jamin's car was still in the driveway. And so he immediately ran upstairs and was knocking on his door because he thought he had overslept. And he went in his room, and when he walked in, our son was slumped over his computer, and he had started changing colors. You know, he had turned purple, and his dad kept slapping him in the face, trying to get him to wake up, and he wouldn't. And so he called me and started screaming, and I didn't know what was going on. I live in Tennessee, and they live in North Carolina. So I kept saying, you know, calm down, calm down. What are you talking about? Because he kept saying, he's gone, he's gone. And I was like, who are you talking about? And he said, Jamin's gone. I said, gone? He said, yes, Karen, he's dead. And yeah, I just fell to my knees. Um, I was in utter shock. We both were. And so the police and the medical examiner came and that sort of thing, and they ended up taking him to the medical examiner's office because we had requested an autopsy. She had an idea of what it was. She thought that it was an accidental overdose because of what she had seen and the color of his skin and things like that. So, anyway, the um, the police decided that they were going to do a full-fledged investigation, and there were tons of people calling in to give tips because he was very well respected in the community and very much loved. And so they had some tips that they started following up on, and the not only did several local police departments get involved, but State Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and Homeland Security got involved. And what we were able to find out later was that the drugs were brought into North Carolina from up north. They had crossed state lines.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from there, they started their investigation, following up on all of the leads, and they were able to find out that Jamin had connected with an old friend from high school
Mhm.
and that they had spent 2 days together and had tried drugs, did different kinds of drugs. And when he came home Saturday morning from being gone for 2 days, um, he went into the house, went upstairs, came back down about 10 minutes later, went out to his car, got some things out of the car, and then went back into the house, went upstairs, and he was gone about 30 minutes. And he came back down the steps, walked outside, and fell against the side of the house. And he had his hands on his head and he just kept saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And he walked over to the steps of the front porch and lifted his leg up. And he couldn't even, it was like he was um, riding a bicycle. He lifted his leg up to try to like put it down on the stair and it wouldn't go.
Mhm.
So he turned around, he went back inside, and then the next morning his dad found him, and the medical examiner said he had been dead probably 10 to 12 hours. Yeah.
So sorry, Karen.
Thank you so
There
much.
are no words.
It's been really tough. A roller coaster, if you want to know the truth. Yeah.
Mhm.
Every morning I look at myself in the mirror and I don't know which stage of grief I'm going to see.
Mhm.
Um,
I,
yeah.
I was reading up on grief a little bit, over the last year or so, and I think a lot of people think that grief is linear, and it's
Hmm.
not at all. It's exactly what you said, like a roller coaster. One day you might feel okay a little bit. The next day it might hit you like a truck, and it is. It's not linear at all. It's a process.
Well, I think one of the things that's been really tough for me is that 3 months in after his passing, I had people reaching out to my husband saying, how is Karen really doing? And they would make comments like, okay, well, it's been 3 months. She needs to just get over it.
Mm.
And grief is different for every person. And when people started saying that, I was losing my mind because I was like, how can you say something like this? This is my child.
I know. Lack of understanding and just the things people say. I think sometimes they don't even realize how malicious it can be, I think.
Hmm.
And I can only imagine what you wanted to do when you heard those words that
Oh, I couldn't speak to those people actually. I don't know. I just had to take better control of
Mhm.
myself. And I honestly think the control part has been kind of my downfall during all of this is because I've wanted to control um, when the investigation would be over, when these people would have to be accountable and go to court.
Mhm.
And I read my devotional every single day, and it's like the same subject kept showing up every single day, which is be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. And so I was like, he's talking to me and I need to listen, or else this would not keep showing up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And, because I have such a strong faith, I've never been mad at God through all of this. I know that he had a purpose.
Mhm.
Was he trying to save Jamin from going down a wrong road because he wasn't an addict? He
Right.
just happened to get together with a friend. They did drugs and it had fentanyl in it and it killed him.
Mhm.
Um, so my faith has really helped me be instrumental in becoming stronger. So as my counselor.
Mhm.
And um, so I keep asking God, I went through the phase where I wanted to bargain with him. Why didn't you choose me instead of him? And his death had a purpose.
Mhm.
And I think that is for me he knows what a strong person I am. And he knew that I would be the right mother to be an advocate because when I'm passionate about something, I don't give up. And so yeah, that's been fuel for my fire, really.
Well, I just want to thank you for sharing the story because I know that it's I can imagine that it's not easy to share and to relive and go through what has happened. But I am so thankful that you were willing to talk to me today and share it. And I've seen some of the things on Facebook that you've been doing, and I think it's just amazing and so commendable. And I'm excited to see the progress that you're going to make because you have the passion and you have the people backing you. And I'm going to be one of those people. And I hope that we can help to push this initiative forward
Mm,
and make a difference. You know, like you said, his life, it has purpose. And
hmm
and I think that you being at the forefront of that, I think you're going to be able to make so many great changes.
Thank you very much. I've been working with a couple of different Facebook groups, Lost Voices of Fentanyl, the Drug Epidemic Wall. Um, but the main organization that I've been working with so far is called American Border Stories. Have you ever heard of them?
I actually hadn't until you told me about them the other day.
So they are an amazing group. They've or organization. They've been around for a little over a year now, and a lot of their employees actually worked on Capitol Hill before coming to work for Nicole. And
Wow. I bet that that's a great resource of knowledge that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So they're using their media strength to help tell the stories for families and about what's actually happening at our borders.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought it was very interesting because a lot of their marketing stuff talks about being bold and telling the true facts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. That is crazy.
Yeah, but they are really helping me to get some things in order. They're helping me write three different pieces of legislation, which I'm very, very thankful for. And they have some connections with um, North Carolina, which is where my son lived. And then they also have connections here in the volunteer state. And at some point, we are going to be getting a group of families together, angel parents that have lost their children. And we will be going in Raleigh and down in Nashville to basically have a rally and for them to interview each family and give them an opportunity to tell their story. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. They have been instrumental in helping me. And actually, by the end of June, I'm going to have the first draft of the first bill. They're going to send it to me to look over. And I've had an attorney reach out to me and say that they would be um, willing to look over the bill because they're used to working on contracts and stuff, and they would make sure that the verbiage would be what it needed to be. And so I'm very, very thankful for for American Border Stories because they have actually been incredible, and I'm so thankful. And I want to do lots of work with them in the future. They have very much a big presence within the White House. They were there when President Trump passed the HALT Act, which the HALT Act was actually signed to make fentanyl a substance one drug, and it's actually considered to be a weapon of war, basically. And President Trump has been absolutely amazing in his devotion and compassion into helping families. He's brought them to the White House. He's brought them to, his State of the Union addresses, and he's really fighting. for the American families and trying to help keep our community safe. And, I'm not trying to make this a political platform, but I'm just so, so very grateful.
Absolutely. And I think you had touched on this in our phone conversation as we were prepping for our meeting earlier. But with that, can you explain a little bit about what that change means of them classifying the drug differently? I think that you had touched on that it means harsher sentences, if I'm remembering,
Yes.
that it means harsher sentences for drug dealers or someone caught dealing fentanyl, and maybe that means longer sentences, harsher sentences, and is that what the biggest change is with this bill, would you say?
So, um, so, um, well, classifying it as a substance one, because they have different classes for different drugs, and that just tells you that that is a weapon of mass destruction, that is being brought into our country from all around the world, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela.
Right.
It's even coming across the border in Canada. And that was huge getting that placed. And then he's brought in, the other drug enforcement agencies and Homeland Security and stuff in that. So they've actually been given $140 million budget to help with this um, awful crisis that our country is facing. Every single day, 200,000, or excuse me, not every single day, but every year, at least 200,000 people lose their lives to synthetic opioids and fentanyl.
That's an extreme amount of people.
Yeah,
And to know that these drugs are being carried over our borders, pretty much everywhere, like you said, from all different countries, and the fact that they can't control it and track it and get to the bottom of it because it just seems to be coming from every which way. It's extremely scary.
it is. So, just to kind of give you a little bit of facts about it. So, let me look here. Um, in 2019, there were 32% synthetic opioids in our country, and now 89%.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
it's grown.
that's such a short period of time for
Hmm.
that to happen. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it's been very eye-opening, all the different facts that I'm learning um, about fentanyl. There's so many different kinds of fentanyl. It seems like once these drug traffickers pick up on the fact that our law enforcement is getting more and more bold in where they're going to look for the drugs that they're smuggling into the country, then they go in and they change the molecular makeup of the different drugs and they make something even more potent. Um, and fentanyl does not smell, it doesn't have a color to it. It takes only a small grains of salt, basically. That's fentanyl inside of pills, or whatever drug of choice that you're using, whether it's cocaine or heroin or whatever. So it only takes a few grains of fentanyl to kill someone if they have never used fentanyl before. Now, there are medicinal grades of fentanyl that are used in hospitals, but those are totally different. And those are regulated, of course, by doctors and things like that. Carfentanil has been a new drug that's come out, and it's actually 100 times more potent than
wow.
fentanyl. Yeah, and so veterinarians actually use carfentanil to tranquilize and put down huge animals like elephants.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it just seems like they keep getting
Stronger
more
and
and more stronger. Yeah. And I mean, and fentanyl is 10 times stronger than heroin.
And I think you brought up a really great point earlier, um, that, all it takes is just one decision. A lot of these times that the people that have been heavily affected by it is just one decision of taking something. It's not
Hmm.
like they're using something every day, or, I'm sure that there are people out there that have that too, but a lot of us that are affected, that know people maybe that have had this happen, it is just that one time, that
Hmm.
just just one decision that it had it in there, and that's extremely scary, that that's all it takes is just that one time, that
Yeah.
one decision.
Yeah. So fentanyl actually there has killed people from the ages of 18 to 45. That's their like the main age group that it is affecting. And I mean, I've read stories about even 15-month-olds dying
Mm,
from being exposed to fentanyl just because a mother or a father leans down and picks them up or kisses their face or something like that. And it gets on them and they touch it and they die.
the fact that it's so strong, and like you said, you cannot smell it or trace it, really
Hmm.
makes it even another layer of difficulty as well to track. And
Yeah, yeah. So the three pieces of legislation that we're working on initially, one is to make Narcan regularly available. So Narcan is used to try to bring people back
Mhm.
when they use drugs. It's not always effective.
Mhm.
Um, so what a lot of clinics and things are trying to do is to make sure that the Narcan is readily available, like in vending machines and things like that. So, there's so much stigmatism surrounded around drug use. Not everyone's an addict. Some people are. Nothing wrong with that. They just, they're having a problem that they need help with, and they don't know really the resources to go to or how to deal with what's going on that's causing them to do it. Um, so clinics are trying to bring that out. The legislation that I want um, to focus on regarding that is I want it to roll out in schools. I want it to roll out in, not only different clinics, but pharmacies.
Mhm.
Um, so they need to feel like they can readily get to it without there being too much stigma
Making
surrounding
it,
it, or otherwise they won't.
making it
Yeah.
more accessible so that it's out there, so that it can save a
Mhm.
life, that it can be used. Because if it's not readily available, it's not going to do its purpose, essentially.
Like, yeah, and if there's someone, say, that's around someone that is struggling with fentanyl poisoning or whatever, and they're getting ready to die, they may be afraid to contact the police for
Mhm.
help because they're afraid that they'll be charged with, with killing the person or whatever. And so the Samaritan Act was actually passed to keep those people wanting to call and get help. They're not charged if they do make that phone call. And
Good.
so that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then some of the other pieces of it are drug dealers need to be held accountable with no bonds. They need to be sure that they are facing their full sentencing. A lot of these smaller rural court systems, they come in, they know the drill of what they have to go through when they come to court. They're told to pay a minimal amount of a bond. Well, they're using drug money to get out.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of times it gets thrown out of court. They don't stay in jail very long because the jails are not big enough for the number of people to for them to serve their jail time. And a lot of times, law enforcement, they do not take the time to investigate a lot of these different poisonings, because if someone, for example, is an addict and the police are aware of that, then they say, oh, well, they were going to die anyway. We don't have to spend our resources investigating, what happened. And so that is also part of the legislation, that every single case is investigated no matter what the situation is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but families can request to have full autopsies and toxicology reports. And then if the police go to the DA and talk to them, if the DA says, yes, we definitely need to do this so we can, find out who sold the drugs and arrest them, then they will do the autopsies and toxicologies for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the way it is in North Carolina. I'm not specifically sure about that in Tennessee, but in North Carolina, that's awesome, because autopsies are very, very expensive.
And I can imagine that, some families might not even know that that is an option, and then they lose out on having that service and having the ability to be able to fight for, what has happened. So I think that that's great knowledge to spread, because I had no idea about that. And I think
Mhm.
what you brought up earlier too about these drug dealers and them essentially getting slapped on the wrists and not serving as harsh of sentences, I think is a huge problem too, because if they're not facing harsh sentences and it's just something little or a bail that they can make through selling more drugs or whatnot, it's not going to change their behavior. They're going to continue to do what they're doing, and they're going to know, okay, I might get arrested, but I'll get out of it. I'll be fine. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll keep running my drugs,
Yep.
and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and that's never going to change. It's just going to only continue to get worse. So I think that you brought up a great point of rallying for harsher sentences and really cracking down on it in order to get them off of the streets and to start to try to kind of just chip away at this massive, massive problem that we're seeing in the United States.
Yeah, so there's one other piece of legislation that I'm wanting to get passed, and there is a chance that it could already be in the works, with Trump putting aside $140 million to help with this terrible crisis. And that is helping families find resources that maybe are from lower income um, or poverty stricken areas, even middle class people. And a lot of times, they're too busy dealing with the grief, that they don't really know where to go to find help. A lot of them can't afford to go to counseling multiple times a month because it's so expensive. And so I want to make sure that those types of things are readily available to families that need them, um,
Absolutely.
because it just breaks my heart.
I know. I know. And we actually only have 5 minutes left on our Zoom call, believe it or not.
Okay.
Time goes so fast. But I do want to ask you kind of one more question and just kind of leave the floor open to you to finish out here. But I guess the question would be, what would you want every person listening to our episode today to take out of our conversation?
That it's okay if you have a type of drug addiction problem, or you've never used before. You need to get the help that you need to get to help. There's wonderful recovery centers out there that are readily available to help families. And I want people to be diligent in knowing what to look for when they find someone. There's so many different things that they could face to actually know that someone is being poisoned by opioids or fentanyl. So That's very important. And I guess just love them no matter what the situation is. We all need it. And so those are my big takeaways. But I did want to kind of offer something positive with regards to helping with peace. I found this song and it's called Mama, I'm Okay. And you listen to it and it will bring you to tears. But after you listen to it several times, it gives you a lot of peace. And one of my favorite lines is, I was yours before I took my first breath, and that kind of love doesn't die with death.
That's beautiful. I'm going to,
Yeah. Yeah. Mama, I'm okay. And it's from a group called Poems to Life.
I'll
Oh,
probably post it with our episode. I
yeah, it's a fabulous song. I played it for my counselor and she cried like a baby.
I bet I will be too.
Yeah, you will. So have a box of tissues.
Well, this time went so fast. I don't even know what just happened, but I can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your story. And I'm so excited to see what you're going to be doing. And I'm fully going to be following along. And any way that I can help share anything that you're working on, please send it my way. And I will do everything that I can to get your story and your word out as well, because I think you're going to make just such amazing and big changes. You've already done so much, and I'm just really excited to see what more you do.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Taylor. You've been fabulous to help. You just don't know what a blessing.
Well, I'm just so excited, and thank you again. And we have a minute left, so I'll have to end it, but I really appreciate you, Karen.
Well, I appreciate you too.
We'll stay in
Thank you.
touch. Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye bye.